Hello and welcome to the Serra High School Football Podcast. How are you, Coach?
I'm doing well, thank you, Amy.
Great. I've decided that I don't introduce myself anymore. I figured after this many weeks.
Don't assume anything. There might be some new listeners.
All right. You know? Well, here we are. Well, thank you for being here. It's an exciting time. The season's heating up. We had a wonderful win against Reardon last week at Reardon. It was kind of chilly up there. Yep. Was nearly a shutout. Our final score was 45-7. The team looked great. Can you tell me a little bit about how you feel that they played and what our strengths were and what you wanted to work on this week?
Sure. Well, the strengths based on our goals was special teams. And a lot of people want to think about offense all the time, quarterbacks and running backs, and then defense and special teams kind of like a stepchild, like, no, you're done. We don't. But here at Serra, we take great pride in our special teams. And a lot of times it's fueled by the bottom of the fire guys, the guys that may not start at running back or guard or whatever. They get a great opportunity to get on the field. And it really means a lot to us. So we went 4 for 4 on special teams, including Dylan making a field goal. And in high school, that's just such a backbreaker when you make a field goal. There's just that, instead of being up 7, you're up 10, that sort of stuff. So
it makes a big difference. And he did great. He had a great kicking game for sure.
He did a great game, and we got the win.
Receiving.
We got the wind behind us in the second and the third quarter, and there was a pretty steady wind up there with the fog coming in. And there's a steady wind coming from the scoreboard, and we struggled in the first half because we were going into the first quarter. And then when we flipped around, we would score balls in the end zone, score balls in the end zone, short punt because they're punting into the wind. So that whole thing started to unravel, and that was the difference in the game was the second and third quarters.
Of course, and it's amazing how the elements do play such a role. We've talked about that, especially mostly about heat,
yes.
Which but it does when you play up there. It's cold, it's different. The wind, it's a different thing.
I would say wind is and strategy purposes, and this isn't earth-shattering stuff, so I'm not giving away all the secrets, but I have developed a strategy or my own thought on the coin toss, and we will always defer, meaning when you win the toss at the beginning of the game, you choose not to choose.
Wow.
It's called
something
deferring.
You do every time?
This is what I do every time.
I love it.
Yes.
I learn something new every time.
And I get people saying you should do this and that, take the ball and go up 7 and all this stuff, and which is, makes sense. But what if you take the ball and you don't go up 7? What if you take the ball and go 3 and out? Then you've taken the ball and you've fired a bullet that you don't need to fire, in my opinion. Anyway, so we defer all the time, unless it's very windy, because rain, snow, any of that stuff doesn't matter really. The ball might be wet. The ball will be wet in those conditions,
sure.
But the wind is the number one element that affects games. So if there's not a wind element in the game, we will defer, and then we get the ball in the third quarter, okay? Because we defer, they take the ball, then we choose which way to kick, and then in the second half, we take the ball and they choose which way to kick, okay? So in that game against Reardon, they chose to defer, which means we took the ball. They chose the wind in the first quarter, which means we're going to have the wind in the second quarter, and then I get to choose the wind if I want it in the third or the fourth, because they're taking the ball in the third quarter.
Right.
So then we're like, okay, we're up a little bit right now. Let's take the wind in the third, and then we can kick it and get it 20, and then they got to go 80 yards on our great defense, which was 3 for 4.
Right.
Last week we did not get the takeaway goal. We had our opportunities, but we were 3 for 4 on the defense. Another great performance by the defense. So that's a little bit of how I think. But if it's really, really, really windy and we win the toss, I might take the ball in the first quarter, because then we can dictate the wind in the second half. Mm-hmm. Generally, what I would do in a situation like that is I would kick the ball into the wind in the third, bite the bullet, and knowing that we'll have like a gale force wind in the fourth. That means your punts go further. You might need a game-winning field goal. Your kickoffs, generally, particularly with a guy like Dylan, they're going to go in the end zone. Now you got to go 80 yards into the wind in a tight game, like playoff game. And that actually happened against Valley Christian in 2019, I believe. Yes, 2019. Okay. So things like that are just things that I've thought about over 22 years.
It was interesting, though. I mean, really, it plays a factor. You clearly have done your strategizing with it, which is great. So
it's probably, again, lessons born in pain
and
other things that are like, all right, again, nothing's 100% when it comes to decisions. It's more of what can I 100% sleep with.
Right, that's probably much better.
That is really where the rubber meets the road, because everyone has these great utopian ideas of like, this is how things are going to happen.
Right.
They don't always happen that way. And what I've learned is that's a fact. I've also learned that I'm going to have to sleep with whatever decision I make for the good of the program.
Right.
And sometimes there's been some restless nights.
I was going to say, I can think of a few. I won't bring them up.
No,
but,
we're not going to. No, not right now.
But no, I'm glad we talked about Reardon. Is there anyone you wanted to bring up? I know one thing. I want to bring up some of the. Actually, you had some of the second and thirds in. I mean, it was really fun to watch everybody get some playtime, which was great.
Yeah.
I do want to ask something that I heard just in talking with people after the game. A lot of people I heard, like, what's happening in that first quarter? Why is it taking the last couple of games? It's just taking us a little time to kind of get up to speed. What and any. I mean, it's just a question that I got that I had no answer for, so I thought I'd ask you.
Well, one of the reporters asked me about that, and this is where attention is drawn to. And my response to the reporter was, I judge us over 48 minutes, not 5.
Good answer. That's
and
fair.
While I would love for those first 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes to be, again, this utopian start.
Sure. As dramatic as the last 3 in the last 5 to 6 games.
Look, this is a hard game. I mean, Reardon, Bellarmine, Mitty, these guys are
coming to win.
They're coming to win, and they have a plan, and they're fresh, and they're ready to roll, and we have a plan, and we're fresh, and we're ready to roll. I mean, this is WCL football. So having the mindset of understanding that, hey, it would be great to be up 21-0 after 6 minutes. It's not going to happen.
Right.
And if it doesn't happen, like this is the whole thing. We got to start fast. Let's go. That's the goal of the week, right? Or we're going to be undefeated. This is the goal of the season. Well, what if you lose the first game?
Exactly.
I mean, then what? Your goal's gone.
Right.
So for me, I like to long war it in the game. You think about the 48th minute. Like, okay, then maybe they got us in the first 6 minutes. There's 42 minutes left. Okay, and Bellarmine was kind of a disaster in the first quarter, and it was not only a disaster for us and some of the self-imposed misery that we put upon ourselves. They were also playing great.
Right.
They got great talent.
They did, and they came out with a lot of force and gusto.
And it was 0-0 at Reardon. They had 3 interceptions in the first quarter.
Right.
Right, and we were into the wind, and there were some things going on, and that's just part of football. And I would like to just encourage our staff and our team to be patient. And if someone's going to beat us, then they're going to have to beat us in the 48th minute. And if it's 14-0 or 21-0, or we're always going to think we have a chance because we're going to play the entire game, which is what you said. Bottom of the fire came in. Brooks Trimmer did a great job getting under center. We're running some double wing. Had some great runs. We had a touchdown. So getting the guys that work so hard out here, they run the gassers, they lift, they're on time. The expectations are exact same. To go out and have some success, that was really good to see.
All right, we are back. Sorry, we had to take a short little break, but we are back now. And I think we were talking about the Reardon game. We were talking about how we won 45-7 and how we got some second and third strings in. And, how that just kind of fueled the camaraderie as well.
Yes.
Those bottom of the fire guys work so hard to keep the starters just in really good shape and such.
Yeah. And they're held accountable too. And unfortunately, we had a shutout going, and our second team defense let up a 70-yard touchdown run, which I'm not too happy about. And these guys get reps during practice. They tackle every day, just like everyone else, and there was poor tackling on that play, which
resulted in a non-shutout situation.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, it's all relative to the number of plays that an individual plays. So if you play one play, you want to get 100%. So when anybody gets an opportunity to go in the game, whether it's 2 reps or 60 reps, the reps need to be treated equally, and that's how we do it here. Unfortunately, we were only 1 for 4 on offense this week. And we had 3 penalties, 1 fumble, maybe 2 fumbles. We got them both back, but we definitely had 4 penalties, and a fumble, which is 5 towards our chaos rule. So we didn't get our chaos rule, the 12% rule.
Right.
So while I'm happy, there were some things to celebrate, and some individuals did a great job. For me, whether you're number 1 or number 84. you're treated the same. And there were some things that I feel like our bottom of the fire guys could have done much better. And if we do have, because they never know when they get an opportunity to get in. That's the tough part about this job. And if we do have a fortunate occurrence to get to that point again, which we haven't really that much this year, our teams are so good that we play against, then I'm going to expect greatness from them, like I do everyone else. So.
That's a really good point. I mean, the accountability across the board, right?
100%.
That's great.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, I'm sorry that happened, but I will say, just from a standings point, I know that you and I talked about, we actually put on our Padre social media account, Padre Football, that USA Today has come out with their top 25 high school teams, and Serra High School is 21. Also fourth in the state and number one in Northern California. So huge congratulations. I know that you downplay those, but I just wanted to make sure to mention it because it's a huge moment in history. It's a huge moment in time for Serra High School and for your program to be in the limelight for all of the good things that it is and stands for. So
thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Pass.
I know. I love it. I was like, he's not going to say anything, is he? Awesome. A couple other things I wanted to bring up just before we kind of get into a few other discussions as well as Poly Day. But, I heard that, I've heard this, very, very proud people on your team have told me that you have a very smart team. They're not just great athletes. They're extremely academically focused and driven. And there are several of the athletes that have higher cum than 4.0.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about that? Because that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, yesterday, we this is the time of year we start doing some cumulative averages and looking at people's grades to make sure that if there is someone in trouble, that we're on top of that, because we would hate to have a self-inflicted wound of not having a 2.0, which is, some people struggle, but that's something that takes effort, in my opinion, not to get. So communication with our great teachers here, working hard, turning your stuff. And that's not our standard here. Our standard is much higher, which I'll talk about in a second. But there's also time to celebrate the very top, right? We have someone who's never got a B in his life on our football team, one of a great player. And I'll just do this collectively, but I'm calculating our entire cumulative GPA of everyone on our team. We have over 80 players. And as of right now, not everyone's in, but just about everyone's in. We have a 3.3 team GPA with 84 different kids on the team, which is incredible.
It is incredible.
And we have 13 players with a 4.0 or better. A lot of the chatter out there is Serra High School is simply a jock school. And, okay, we are. So is Stanford. Stanford's a jock school. They win the Sears Trophy every year.
Right.
They have the best student athletes on the planet. Well, so does Serra, right? So we can be great here, which is the field, and we can be great there, which is the classroom. And that's what we strive for here. We talk about student athletes all the time, and I'm very, very proud of this. I just had this inkling, like I think we have a really smart team academically. And so I was looking at all the pooled the GPAs, and it's turning out to be very true. And maybe on the next podcast, I'll be able to give it a definitive answer. But a 3.3 GPA, taking 84 kids that's really, really, really impressive. So hopefully I'll be able to make them bless that as a definitive number.
Sure.
But I just knew from some of the high achievers, like, oh my gosh, 4.78? What's a 4.78? I didn't even know that was possible when I was going through high school.
I know.
4.0.
Not for the 4.0s these days.
I know. Like, I got a 4.0. I didn't get into Harvard. Like, what? So It's just really incredible. I'm very proud of it. When that happens, it's total war on the student athlete, if you will, on everything that we teach here, all the things we talk about. Being a well-rounded individual and seeing that as a number, which is very definitive. It's not subjective. It's just objective. It's like, whoa, that high school football team has over a 3.3 GPA collectively. That's impressive. Very impressive.
And I agree with you. It's a both and, right? You can have balance. You can do both. You can, that's the Stanford model and the Serra model, like you said. It's, greatness everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere.
Trying to achieve greatness.
Of course.
We're not talking about perfection. We're talking about motivating yourself to do the best you can do in every environment, which is great.
And one doesn't have to give to the other.
Exactly.
It doesn't have to give. It's like, okay, if you're going to be a great football program, doesn't mean you're just awful in the classroom. That's a stupid assumption, in my opinion.
Well, and football is a sport where you have to memorize a lot. I mean, I'm sure that one parlays into the other. It takes a lot of thinking and a lot of, split-second decision-making and brain health, right? So
right, and that's where I kind of had this weird, I need to look into this because I think something unique is happening, because what we run schematically is not just line up in the front and go play, or let's just run a couple run plays. The things that our coordinators are asked, that we ask our kids to do, they pick up very quickly. So I'm like, wait a sec, there's got to, you know. So I went through the whole study, and it's looking good right now. So I'll have a definitive answer next week.
That's pretty awesome, and it's also coming from just a little Patrick Walsh plug. You were also valedictorian in your high school at De La Salle, so
Thank you.
And a fantastic athlete. So it's achievable.
It is.
It's very achievable. So great, and I'm sure you had to work very hard for that. So it's not earned. I mean, it's earned, not given.
Thank you.
Awesome. So the next thing I want to bring up. So I've been seeing these awesome jackets out on campus here today. Last year they were navy blue. Now they're gray. They're super cool. You always outfit your boys. Can you talk about that for a sec?
Yeah, we have a tradition. We have an incredible fundraising arm, and kids went out and did a great job, and we fundraised like $115,000 for our program.
Wow, that's a
and
lot.
It's a community-based fundraiser, and kids work hard on it, and the community wants to help out. So whenever we reach certain levels, I reward the program back, the kids back that worked really hard in the varsity level, and we have a team jacket that we gave out yesterday. Took a while to get.
It's very cool though.
Usually it's a little bit earlier in August, but there's ships sitting in the water and things like that. So we got it done, and very happy. It's perfect timing because it's starting to get a little bit chilly.
Yeah.
And I know the guys are very, very proud of it.
They're all wearing them today.
Yeah.
It's really hot, and
Yeah, they're wearing it anyway.
They're
Sure.
always wearing it anyway, and they're very, very proud. So they're great looking. So thank you for those.
You're welcome.
Today I wanted to talk about the behind the scenes individuals that help strengthen the program. We've got the Meerkats, we've got the statisticians, we have the film crew, and they kind of go unnoticed by the general public, certainly not by the players and the coaches and those that know. So can you talk to me a little bit about first? I guess we'll take the Meerkats last. Let's talk about some of the individuals that are helping you chug the numbers and kick the film.
Sure. Father Joe, number one. He's a non.
Our chaplain, yes,
right.
of course.
So
our
Father
football
Joe's
chaplain.
number one, but we've talked about him ad nauseum. I'm
He's
sure
a
he's tired
legend,
of it.
yes.
Yeah. So Father Joe is our spiritual captain, our spiritual coordinator, and then Ted Cordery and Kevin Newman have been our filmers pretty much since day one, meaning 22 years ago.
I met them at the football banquet. I sat with them, and I had no idea. Yeah,
Right.
They are Padres, true and true.
And they film basketball too, and I'm sure their wives love when they're just leaving all the time and going to games, and they'll scout in Elk Grove, and they're a part of the family, and they hide in the shadows. But all the wonderful film that we have for recruiting and send out, everything that we do, it's top of the line film. We have top of the line technology that they know that they've mastered with the sideline replay stuff. That's Cordery, Coach Cordery. Teddy does that. And the fact that these guys have given basically 2 decades of their life to do something to lay it down for us is just absolutely fantastic. It's really great. And their kids stopped playing long time ago, but they're such a part of what we do, the fabric of our community, and they love it. And they love the kids, and they love our coaches, and I'm not sure if they love me because we're always at each other, but it's a fun thing. But I'm just so grateful. Cannot take it for granted. I'll get something from in the coaches community like, hey, does anyone know a local filmer? We lost our filmer. This doesn't happen for us, and I definitely do not take it for granted. But they're there on time. They set up all the time. Folsom, De La Salle, you name it.
Wow,
absolutely fantastic, and I'm so grateful to have those men. And then Mike Redmond is our statistician. Again, his kids played for me, and they're long gone, but meaning from the program.
Sure,
just
wonderful. I know what you meant.
Thank you. But and he's perfected that, the huddle stats to max prep stats, and it's not a seamless transition, but now it is because of Mike. It just within now 10 minutes of every game, maybe 15 minutes,
wow.
The stats are uploaded. It takes a little bit of a while for huddle and max preps to sync, and then a couple hours after the game, the stats are up there for the fans, for the recruiters,
wow.
And that's what we do in our league is we have to have stats up there for the other team, so we can look at them, how many yards passing, how many yards rushing. I know the players look at it. I know college recruiters look at it, and to have accurate stats is very important. So Mike Redmond does a great job of that. So he's on the sidelines doing that. Obviously, we have our strength coaches with Coach Esau and Coach Carson. They're a part of the family. And then the Meerkats, I would say, are just absolutely. I think we have I don't know if it's like this everywhere. It is like that for us here, but our student manager program it's a rite of passage now. And it's true that we have kids like Ches. Ches is managing at University of Arizona right now. Ryan West is at
Yep.
Arizona State right
Yep.
now. You can get into college and get money.
Right.
And, of course, you get all the swag and the gear. Frankie Monco did it for us a long time ago. He's now working at Stanford.
So cool.
You know, so this is a career path. And they're learning here on the ground floor and thousands of hours of community service. I'm so grateful for them. We have one rule with this. Do not mess with the Meerkats. You mess with a Meerkat, you're going to throw it off the team.
That's great.
Off the team. Because they are the poster child of service. And anyone that would, you know,
Mess with them.
yeah. or give them stuff or whatever, you don't get it. You know, we had James Polo last week stood up in chapel, and I was so moved because he said, I'll do anything for anyone on this team. Anything. Whatever you need.
That's amazing.
It's amazing. And it's like he'll never play a down, and he'll never do the things that you would think you want to contribute to a football team. But this Meerkat tradition is so rich here. I'm so humbled by it, really. And it started, a couple decades ago, and it's just been passed down and passed down and passed down. And hopefully someday we'll be able to build like a Meerkat little manor.
Totally. And how many did you have this year?
4.
4. And
Yeah.
then tell us why you call them Meerkats.
Oh, well, this one time our student manager was just kind of looking around, a little guy. You know, and then he went down, went back in. I couldn't see him. And next, I saw him looking around. And I'm like, what? That's like a prairie dog. What do they call those things? Meerkats. You know, so they get looking around probably to get eaten by a lion or something. And then they go back in their hole, or they go get some food and then go back in their hole.
That's so
So I came up like, you guys are the Meerkats now. So that's a tradition.
That's awesome. And you said you have 4 this year?
Yeah.
Awesome. That's great. And did the Meerkats from last year train these? I mean, is there any
training?
training?
It's passed down.
Yeah, it's passed down. Okay.
Right. I don't know how to work the headsets. I don't know how to do the end zone stuff. I don't know how to plug in a TV.
Right.
My wife will remind me of things like this. I could maybe change a light bulb is my skill at home. Maybe. I don't know. Sometimes the bottoms are different. I don't know I don't know what bottom to get. So
I can make a blonde joke right now, but I won't.
Please don't. Well, you can. I mean, you're blonde. I'm not.
Ish.
Okay, go ahead.
But I know how to change a light bulb, all of them. So
okay, congratulations.
So
that is, it's passed down. They know how to do it. They know the technology, which again they can take to college. Like if you know how to set up headsets here, you can set up headsets at Stanford, or wherever you end up in high school or college.
And they've got the equipment, and they're on it. It's just so great to see, and it's so great that the football program supports non-athletes too, right? I mean, or I wouldn't say that all Meerkats are non-athletes. I shouldn't say that. They probably play other sports or whatever, but they're not playing the sport that they're supporting, and that's really cool. I mean,
very cool.
It's a selfless thing to do, right?
Yep.
Cool. Well, thank you to all the behind-the-scenes guys that and girls that help us out here. Recruiting season, it's heating up. Anything to report on that end?
We have no new offers to report yet, but this is the time of year where the major Division I colleges start coming back during their bye weeks and other times during the season. Their seasons are coming to an end. Some make bowls, some don't. But either way, this campus is about to be flooded with a lot of college recruiters. Arizona State was here last week. Miami was here the week before that, just during their bye weeks, coming out and checking out our guys. And this is the time of year where these guys come back and they want to see what's going on. Signing date is in December. The early signing date's in December. And a lot of the guys, particularly at the bigger levels, they're looking at juniors and sophomores now, believe it or not. And then making sure that their offers like San Diego State was here last week. Kyle Hoke, one of my favorite guys in college football, was here. Got to see Silver, put his arm around him, tell him they love him, which is really cool that when a college makes a commitment, generally they follow through on it. Not all the time, sadly, but the Aztecs, I got a ton of respect for them because now we've had 2 kids who got hurt, Hassan Mahassan and Ryan Silver, and they've committed to both of them.
That's amazing.
They committed to both of them and then stayed committed to both of them. So Kyle was here last week to check out the team, make sure Ryan's good, and to let him know that, hey, your offer's good here, man.
That's great.
We love you. So this is starting to heat up, and we're very mindful of it. I think because San Francisco Airport's right here, Serra's always the first stop when people come south. Just boom, they come to Serra. Coach Bell is our recruiting coordinator, on-campus recruiting coordinator, does an awesome job getting the guys what they need, making them feel welcome here, and we got players to look at. So
that's great. Well, I think obviously with we were talking, which I was highlighting and you were lowlighting, is we are being watched nationally. I mean, it's a big deal. It's a big season. It continues to grow, and you've been really instrumental in bringing a lot of these coaches here. Like last May when we had the Invitational, tons of coaches came here for to watch the guys work out and practice, and it's really nice to see that grow with the program.
Sure.
Even in its 22nd year with you at the helm, and I know you've always done a very good job at bringing the coaches on campus. But it seems like the more attention that we get, the more interest. Obviously. So that's really exciting.
And to make another note on that, it's not just the big guys like Miami and San Diego State and whatever. It's I talked. One of my good friends, the defensive coordinator at University of Puget Sound, which is a Division III program. I was on the phone with him for 30 minutes the other night talking about all our seniors and guys that could potentially play up there. I know he's interested in Max Mater. He's like, well, tell me about Max Mater. And so talked about him.
Yeah.
So it's not just people love the 5-star watch or whatever, but college football is way more than that. And most of the kids who play are not going to play at that level. So, but there's a whole nother level. There's Chapman University, Azusa Pacific, where Brandon Bochy is the defensive coordinator at Rockland High School right now. He went to Azusa Pacific, had a great career there. I mean, there's so much in opportunities, and because our staff has a lot of knowledge and knows guys from all different levels, it is a place where people want to come and recruit, whether it's Division III or NAIA football,
right?
Or the biggest.
Totally, and like you said, I mean, everyone has dreams of D1. I mean, back to the beginning of what we say at the beginning of every game. You have these dreams of these amazing plays, whatever. We all have dreams of that, but ultimately, they just want to play too, and there are so many opportunities to do that. So it's nice that you make sure to make those matches and give opportunities, in D2 or D3, not just D1.
And I know a lot of different type of people listen to this. The majority of college football is played around the Mississippi and to the east. So
Interesting.
A lot of our Californians don't like that. It's like, what degrees is it in Pittsburgh?
Exactly.
It's not 67.
What's a tornado?
Yeah, what is that?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
A lot of our kids need to think about that, because if you look at our state alone, there's not a lot of football in our state anymore, sadly.
That's true.
Santa Clara's gone, St. Mary's is gone, Northridge is gone, Santa Barbara's gone.
Big names only, kind of. Stanford, Cal.
Big ones, Stanford, Cal, Fresno State, San Diego State. And then you drop down a level, and because there's only a few, the level down is basically that level. Mm-hmm. UC Davis, University of San Diego, Cal Poly. I mean, they're getting guys that just missed going to SC. So it's very, very competitive. So I tell people that, hey, coach, help me, guide me. Like, what can I do? I said, well, if you can go to Stanford, let's go. I mean, we'll sign right now and we're done. It's hard to say no to Stanford.
Yeah, oh yeah.
If we can go to UCLA, that's great. If we go to Cal, we're done. Like, whatever. But if that doesn't happen, then what? That's where you have to cast a wide net, start thinking about other things. And then at the end of the day, do you really want to do this? Do you really want to do this at Oberlin College? I mean, you may. Do you really want to do it? Or would you rather go to SMU and be a student? Would you rather go to
lots of choices
wherever and just be a student? And the college athlete life is hard. I remember when I finally got done at the University of Texas, I was done with classes at like 1. I'm like, what am I going to do from 1 to tomorrow?
It's true. I mean,
literally 1 till tomorrow. I'm going to go get a workout in. I'm going to go study. I'm going to get some extra time with my teacher. Like, these things are like the time that it takes to be a college student athlete is very, very, very demanding. Very demanding. I know there's a big argument about should they get paid, should they not get paid, these sort of things. But being a former college student athlete myself, I mean, the minute it was over, all my grades shot through the roof.
So you said you loved school all of a sudden.
Oh, it was great. I mean, the best business courses, and this is so amazing. And I had time to work, and the scholarships at that point wasn't a lot of money. Mm-hmm. So I had some time to work, get some gas money, maybe take my now wife out for dinner.
Sure. Do anything except for work out.
Exactly. That's right. So.
Awesome. Well, that's really good insight. I mean, I think it's a big decision where you go to college and whether or not you play. I mean, I always think about,
totally.
We talk about my nephew Damon. We always talk about, he is such a great kicker. Everyone's like, where's he going? He's going to be a student at Boulder, and he's loving it, right?
Correct.
So,
perfect example.
It's just, you got to make those choices.
You do.
So.
Yeah.
Well, we are coming up on Saturday. We've got our big Poly Day here, and I just had the privilege, Rosie and I and Alex had the privilege of interviewing a bunch of the Poly kids for some promotional videos, and they are wonderful and great representation for our school and for their culture and our community, and they are very excited to have this day dedicated to their family, faith, and culture. So that's October 22nd. We play at 1:30 Valley Christian. And we've got this beautiful hat that you're wearing in commemoration for Poly Day, and you can buy your shirts, which are $30 and awesome.
The hats aren't for sale, though.
I know that. See, I was like,
I know.
How do you get a hat? I mean, I
so
think you just have to admire them from afar.
Right. So these are for the coaches and some other, folks that we mentioned here, because this print is made by Richardson, and I actually got the idea because I got one from Pepperdine Golf.
Oh, cool.
So it makes sense, Pepperdine, right?
Sure.
I'm like, wait, that'd be great for Poly Day. So I went out and try to buy them and order them, and they're not making them anymore.
Oh no.
So they're not making this print. I might be able to do some other things, but so we found 50 of them. So we have the 50, but then I asked a couple of my guys, Matt Valentine, he works for Under Armour. He's our Under Armour Connect, and some other things. And Matt, he knows everyone in the industry. Like, you got to find me some more hats. He found 120 more.
Oh, wow. So
we're going to print 120 more, and then maybe I'll offer them for sale. But like anything that's rare, it's going to cost some money.
Yep.
I might use it as a fundraiser. I don't know exactly.
I was going to say the kids could get sweats to match their jackets off this thing.
Here we go. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Awesome.
So, no, I love it. And they fit.
It's very cool.
Different hats. I don't know if people get into the hat world, but some hats ride high, don't fit very good. These hats, they ride low, they fit well. I love them. I think they're great, and they look cool.
They are great, and they look cool, and now you're making everyone want one. Okay, awesome. Well, how does Valley Christian look, just before we go?
Yeah, they look good. I mean, they're young. Again, I think it's a lot like the Reardon game.
Yeah.
And they're, I don't think they've won a league game yet. I don't think so.
They're missing their secret weapon, right?
Jurion Dickey transferred, and Mike Machado and I'm very close with Coach Machado, very close. I mean, if I know Serra program well, the next program I know as well is Valley Christian over the last 20 years. And we've just been really close. We golfed together, and their situation down there, for some reason, the COVID for this senior class, a lot of kids transferred. And they had the means to go play in Tennessee and other places. So a lot of their senior class is light. That's why they have a ton of freshmen, sophomores, juniors playing. They're getting better. Last week they lost 21-14 to St. Francis.
Oh, wow.
They were losing 14-0, and they hung in there, and they had a chance to tie it or win it. So they're getting better, and that's what a Mike Machado team does. It gets better, particularly with young kids. So again, we're back in the thick of things once again. And it was 0-0 at the end of the first quarter against Reardon last week. Yep. It's like, wait a sec, Sarah's supposed to wipe these people out, allegedly. I don't think that way ever. So I know what we're going to get from Valley Christian. They got a great wide receiver. They got a tough running back. They have a great tight end. They have the best offensive lineman in the country for his class.
No kidding.
Yep, number 73 is committed. Well, he just got an offer from the University of Texas.
Oh, jeez.
Right, he's a sophomore. He's well over 300 pounds. He's a great athlete, hence why he's getting offered by Texas. They got guys, and they're going to put it together. I know Coach Machado. We've had so many wars against each other that they're going to put it together. And anyone that would take this situation lightly is going to be.
We had a scary game against them last year. We had a night game.
Played two games.
Yeah, but one of them it was very close. It was very scary.
Well, it was 21-0 at halftime.
Yes, it was.
Like,
That's right.
We're about to roll.
I remember being worried.
I remember everything.
Yeah.
It's 21-0 at halftime. We're going to roll. We're the mighty Padres.
Yep.
Jurion Dickey goes crazy.
Yep.
Their quarterback, who I think he walked on at UCLA or something, or got a scholarship. I don't remember. Fastest kid in the CCS. He starts going crazy.
Yep.
Next thing you know, it's 28-21. They're kicking an onside kick.
That's right. That's exactly it. Of course you remember. That was a scary game.
Very scary. And then we played him again in the playoffs, and we had double coverage, then triple coverage, then quadruple coverage on Jurion Dickey, and he ended up having, I think, 270 yards receiving and a bunch of touchdowns.
Well, we're glad he's not there. We wish him the best.
I know. And I've talked to Mike about that a lot. He's obviously a 5-star guy and somebody you don't want to lose for the program. But according to Mike, this is best for his family, and
he'll be fun to watch for sure.
Yeah.
And now, just the last question I have for you. We talked last podcast. There was a little bit of you were a little frustrated with some of the character.
Yes, I know what you mean.
Formation on the team, or not formation, but behavior, not character.
Yeah. I mean, we had a string and a winning streak, losing streak of personal fouls in games, and that ended last week, which I'm very proud of.
Yep. Good.
And Joey Villaroman pointed it out after the game, like, Coach, we talked about it all week. We had no personal fouls today.
Good.
And while that's great, that's the exception. Like, we shouldn't be celebrating the fact that, but we showed that we got better. And I was very proud of that. And hopefully that becomes the new streak, like just no personal fouls. If kids are playing hard and they get late hit out of bounds, or, there's some things that.
There's some accidents, right?
There are. There's the helmet to helmet now, which is really, it's subjective sometimes. The kids are playing really hard. Our defense runs around. They play fast and physical. And sometimes those happen. Those are things I can live with. It's the mouthy stuff.
Right.
It's the pushing.
Bad
sportsmanship. Pushing back after get pushed. Like, you got to be smarter than that. Like, what's a push going to do in football? Nothing.
Right.
Do it between the whistle. You're allowed to push in between the whistle.
That's true. With all those pads on, it doesn't really matter, right?
Yeah. I mean, when the ball snapped, you're allowed to be physical and do stuff. Right. And then when it's done, you're not. So we're learning that, and we've given away some points in that phase of the game. So last week we were at 0, and then the other non-negotiable is our effort. Guys running the ball, guys playing hard, and finishing blocks, all those sort of things. Those are non-negotiables because you can control effort and you can control your behavior. Maybe you drop a pass, maybe you throw an interception, maybe you miss a tackle. Those things are all livable things because we're human. We're expected to fail. The other ones, non-negotiables moving forward. So last week we're 1-0.
Yeah, well, good. Well, that's good to hear. Wonderful. Well, I hope that everyone will come out for Poly Day. We have an exceptional crew of volunteers who have been working behind the scenes so hard to make this year exceptional, and they're sure to succeed because I've been in touch with them, and they're excited and committed, and it's all proceeds go to the football program, and so we hope to see everybody out here. 1:30 varsity kicks off Saturday. JV plays I believe at 10, right?
I don't know.
It's in the morning.
I should be better about this.
I should too.
Yeah, I don't
know. Come out to both games, have some good food, and let's celebrate the Padres. So
let's do it.
All right, thanks, Coach. Go
Thank
Padres.
you very much.